Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing!
We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Saturday.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break. Right?
Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 156 where we'll be covering the Supercoppa Italiana in Saudi Arabia as well as all the events of Matchday 19 in Serie A.
And I'm Matt. Nice to meet all of you.
Bro, we did it.
We fucking did it, huh? And in honor of that, of course, I'm wearing my Milan kit.
For our Inter-supporting listeners, I decided to maintain neutrality in my appearance. However, my words might suggest otherwise.
Yes, it was a spectacle though. It's good that obviously last year the Supercoppa was quite boring and the Saudis even complained about the level of football and the lack of star names that took place and whatever. But we had a great semi-final between Milan and Juve. It was a comeback, and an even better final where there was an even bigger comeback. And the stadium was lit. The supporters seemed happy. Obviously, the final result was what we hoped for. So it seemed quite good. It seems like it's something that will continue, even though I'm not a massive fan of the whole setup and arrangement and the fact that it takes place in Saudi Arabia. It was entertaining.
But it's been a while. It's been the case for a while. So the Supercoppa was inaugurated in 1988. And 18 of the first 21 Supercoppa games were actually played. The final, of course, was played at the home of the Serie A winners, right? That's how it used to be. There were two exceptions in 1993 and in 2003. In 1993, it was held in Washington. And in 2003, it was held in East Rutherford, New Jersey. New Jersey. Shout
out to everyone from New Jersey and Washington.
Out of the 37 editions played, these have been the following venues, right? So 20 times at the home of the Serie A winners, which was the original format. 5 times in Saudi Arabia, 4 times in China, twice in the USA. So you can see where there's a shift in spending power in football. Supercoppa goes there, right?
Exactly.
So when it was all about China, everyone going to China, the Supercoppa was played in China, you know? And same with Saudi Arabia, same with the States. It was played twice in Qatar as well, twice at the Olympico as a kind of an agreement. It wasn't the winner's stadium, but it was a neutral venue, and once at the
Olympico.
Exactly at the Mapei Stadium as well, and once in Libya as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Supercoppa has been all around the world, bro.
I mean, you guys do what you need to do to make a buck. For me, as long as the football's on and I can watch it, the closer the better, because we can actually go up and watch the game. Italy's a stone's throw away from Malta, so we're happier in that regard. But we're not here to complain. We're here to present everything to you. We'll start off with our goal of the week. The goal of the week is related to Matchday 19, where there was the Derby della Capitale. In my opinion, one of the best, top 2 derbies in all of Italy and perhaps Europe as well. It's an absolute spectacle, that, man.
It's always a violent affair, isn't it?
Yeah, man. In many, many ways, bro, it's more... there's more violence in the Derby della Capitale than the Derby della Madonnina. It obviously depends on what year and at what stage and what's on the line. But the most recent Derby della Capitale have been awesome.
It's all about the personnel as well. When you have the likes of Paredes and Castellanos and all the Mancini, Guendouzi, these guys all love a scrap, you know.
Exactly. Back in the day, there was Nainggolan as well and a bunch of other ruffians. But goal of the week went to Pellegrini. He scored a remarkable goal. He sent Rovella sliding back to Monza. And the finish into the top corner, Providel got a touch, but it wasn't quite enough. That opened the scoring, and then Salamaker scored, and after that Roma sealed the victory. there was a nice little bluff that I really, really enjoyed by Ranieri.
Before the game, right?
He said
I have the quote here.
Go for it.
He said, I'm not picking Pellegrini because he's not in the right headspace. Technically, he's one of the best midfielders in Europe, but he's too affected by the crowd. I need to see whether that hinders a player or if it's water off a duck's back. It inhibits Lorenzo's game.
And he starts him. And he
scores that goal.
The opening goal of the game in tremendous fashion.
Incredible.
Wearing the captain's armband.
Incredible.
That was amazing. A great bluff, great performance by Pellegrini. I do think that there is some truth behind what Ranieri said.
Of course.
The fact that Pellegrini has struggled, especially this season. And under Mourinho as well. It's under De Rossi that he had this new lease of life. But he was very affected with what was going inside the club with the supporters and everything. And hopefully this changes. Because when he's on, he's a catalyst in this team, as he has been for the past 5 years.
Absolutely. And, in his prime, he was sensational. He would get assists pretty much week in, week out.
Yeah, I know.
On fantasy football, right? Every time I'd be against this guy, I'd get an 8 minimum.
Literally.
Yeah. He's 28 years old nowadays, so he can't let the crowd be a massive factor in his game. He's not a youngster anymore.
He's still young. He can still improve. I think his game will develop at 28 years of age. And a guy that has had injuries before as he nears 30. You saw it with Pirlo, for example, where he started to be a bit more pragmatic. He fell into a number 6 role, whereas before he was like in an 8. And I think it happened to Van Bommel, who was a number 10, and he ended up being a number 6 as well. So over time, I think he has the ability. He's press resistant. He's smart on the ball. I think closer to goal is where we'll see more inconsistency from him and where we'll see that streakiness and that lack of mental
confidence
clarity.
Is super important, right?
Yeah, I think he could brush up on his passing and his press resistance and fit into a role over there. I think it'll suit him quite nicely. If you guys are new here, please do drop us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're relatively new there, but growing quite fast with all your help, so thank you very much. And do rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast, be it Spotify, Apple, Google, we're everywhere. So no matter what device you're using, you could find us at Serie A Spotlight. And we also have Patreon. It's $3.99 a month. I'm a patron myself. You get added to the latest group chat in Serie A history with a bunch of cool people from all around the world sporting some of the best knowledge, even more knowledgeable than us, which is really, really cool. Every day there's good chat. If you don't feel like it, you can mute it. And also you get added to our fantasy. And our fantasy is loads of fun. I do recommend that you join now. Get used to it so that next year you'll top the charts. Just like, who's top right now?
We've got a new name. So it's obviously the same person, Joey D, but he's changed his name again.
Congrats. Okay.
This time it's Dušan Vlahovic. Shane in Maltese means nothing, of course. So that's excellent. Like, this guy has like a full-time job in figuring these names out. Joey D. What a legend he is.
I don't know where he's getting this information, as in the internet, right? But Maltese, bro. Like, I always had the problem when I was in school and I had Maltese as a subject. We could get no Maltese literature on the internet.
It's a bit better nowadays, but it's still very limited.
Yeah, like ChatGPT can speak Maltese a little bit every now and then when I test it.
The pronunciation's ass, though.
Yeah, well.
But yes, and if you do join our fantasy league, the winner will win a kit of their choice. So
yeah,
do join just on the off chance that you can win.
Exactly.
Kit, you know?
And if you want some bizarre kit that we for some reason can't get our hands on or can't mail it to you, we'll send you the money. No problem at all. We have our Patron of the Week award as well. This week we gave it to Campbell.
Congratulations, Cam.
Congratulations for his incredible Christian Pulisic impersonation. So first he sent a normal voice note speaking, and he's American. And Chesko said, "Whoa, bro, you sound like Pulisic," which is like, obviously he's got to say that because he's American. But then Campbell hits us back with this.
God damn it, guys. Coach is right. We gotta win this game. Not for them, but for us. We You have to win this game for us. God damn it, guys.
And the funny thing is that he actually sounds like him. I don't think he's putting.
I don't think he's
in an
putting
effort
much
at
on
all.
over there. That's just his accent, it's policy.
Yeah. So
Damn,
patron
guys,
of the week,
coach is right.
and we wanted to win, and it was on us. But I think we can get into it. Firstly, sorry for my low energy, guys. I've been sick for the past 2 days. There's something going round. I don't know what the heck it is. Apparently, it's something in China again. Touch wood and all that. We'll start things off by discussing the Supercoppa, both the semi-finals and the final. And then we'll discuss the rest of Matchday 19 in Serie A. And then hopefully, if time is on our side, we'll jump to our listener questions, because we had some really cool and interesting questions once again. Thanks to all of you guys. And it's something you guys can do weekly. Just send us questions. Whenever one comes to your head, just DM us and we'll discuss it accordingly. So, the Supercoppa Italiana. Before, it was the winner of the cup against the champion of the league. However, nowadays, for a bit more money, what they're doing is the winner of the league and the runner-up of the league, and the winner of the cup and the runner-up of the cup. The winner of the league plays the runner-up of the cup, the winner of the cup plays the runner-up of the league, and then winners go to a final and they play it over one leg. All the games are one leg.
And go straight to penalties.
And it goes straight to penalties. We'll start off with Atalanta 0, Inter 2. Of course, both teams on great form. This was a game that I was very excited for. Inter went out with their first team. So a no bullshit approach whatsoever. While Gasperini made some weird decisions in Atalanta's starting 11. He had Scalvini in midfield, which was something that he has tried out before, but it's the first time he did in a game that matters so much. So Scalvini in midfield, and he also had a front trident of Brescianini, Zaniolo, and Samardzic. Of course, Retegui is injured, but let's not forget this is the same team that has CDK. It's the same team that has Lookman, and they decided to bench them, probably to rest them, because they do have a big game against Juve coming up on Tuesday. Yes, on Tuesday. So the first half was all Inter. However, they failed to break the deadlock due to an informed Carnesecchi, who pulled off some fantastic saves.
Celebrated them. I love that.
He's so cool. I love him, man. He made a mad save on a Lautaro half volley. It was an insane save. We see Lautaro score so many of those. He almost scored one against Milan in the final. As well as a double save where he denied both the Argentine again and a Di Marco follow-up. He then denied Lautaro a further 2 times, all in the first half. In halftime, Thuram went off injured. He was replaced by Taremi. Medical staff have now confirmed an elongation to the adductor muscle in his left thigh, ensuring that he will be out for the final. It's not a huge injury, but it will keep him out for a week or 2. Yet to be... there's no official statement on that injury yet, however. Dumfries then opened the scoring with an acrobatic volley from 6 yards out in the 49th minute after a dangerous cross. And moments later, Gasperini said, look, no more bullshit. We're going to bring on CDK, we're going to bring on Lookman, and we're going to bring on Ederson. So Atalanta then brought the game to Inter.
Surely that would be called a bicycle kick, no? That was a bicycle kick.
It was a bicycle kick, yeah. I mean, an acrobatic,
Rafushata. What a goal, bro.
It was excellent. It was excellent.
Like... Honestly, I totally forgot about that goal. Of course, our goal of the week has to be in Serie A, because otherwise that's the goal of the week.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are some great team goals that we had in the final.
Yeah.
Both by Inter and by Milan.
Denzel Dumfromovic.
However, after these players came on, Inter still kept up the momentum, and Dumfries doubled Inter's lead with and his tally with a brilliant long-range strike that bounced in off the crossbar. And that's another fucking contender.
That's another crazy goal, to be honest. You know what it is, bro?
A banger.
Last week, I put Dumfries in my all-time worst Scudetto winning 11. We had a question, of course, from a listener.
I didn't.
And he retaliated by scoring twice. So basically, it's all because of me, bro.
Yeah, but you know what that means. He's not going to score for 3.5 months now, bro.
That's got his season time.
Yeah, that's how he operates. So Inter are up 2-0, but of course Atalanta now have some of their most dangerous players on the pitch, and they did look to fight back. And they even had an Ederson goal disallowed for a super marginal offside, a heel offside only. Yeah. Sommer also made crucial double saves on headers from Jim City and Lookman during a chaotic corner, but these efforts were in vain and Inter progressed to the final for a fourth year running, however, missing their top scorer, Thuram. Before we move on to the next semi-final, any thoughts about this game?
I have a point to make, basically, that both coaches, I think, risked too much this game. I think that Inzaghi rotating absolutely no one was risky in itself. It got them the victory, but it resulted in, by the end of the tournament, 2 injuries to key players. Çalhanoğlu and Thuram, of course.
Devastating.
Out of the blue, and they, 2 games, they didn't get anything out of them. They lost 2 starters.
Yeah.
While on the other hand, Gasperini went too crazy with his rotation. Simply too crazy. He did say afterwards that Bellanova had a slight problem, and that's why he didn't start him. But playing a trident of Samardzic, Brescianini and Zaniolo, who have all featured in the last 10-20 minutes of games recently. I mean, Zaniolo, it's true, he's become a little bit prolific, but these guys have all been used as impact subs lately. And then you have the likes of Ederson, Lookman and CDK on the bench. That I think it's one of them, at least one of those 3.
It makes me think.
A priority,
that's
right?
Not a priority at all.
Yes.
They're doing well in the Champions League. They're doing well in the league. They're still in the Coppa. So perhaps it was a good time to get Zaniolo stretching his legs a little bit, and Brescianini and Samardzic, because if they won them the game or Scalvini did well in midfield, then they would have figured something out in something. They pretty much approached this game as though it was a friendly. The substitutions at halftime make me feel like he realized that he made a mistake.
He wanted to turn the game around, right? I don't know if he thought he could get the job done with the players he had, but to be honest, the goals came quite late, so these guys held on for quite a while. The thing is, they weren't really a threat in the first half, and that's a big problem. Inter looked much better than Atalanta did, much more organized. They wasted a half, essentially.
And also, we've seen this season, last season, the season before, Inter have Atalanta's number. They definitely, Simone Inzaghi has Gasperini's number. As much as Gasperini is an unpredictable, incredible coach, we have seen certain managers that just beat him. Purely always beat Gasperini. There were few occasions that last season.
The 5-0.
That was Pioli's first game. It was Pioli's first game in charge of Milan. But that's also a factor. But one thing is for sure, Inter definitely wanted the Supercoppa.
Yes.
And that is why he went with his first team with 0 exceptions. Every single player that starts was in that team.
Absolutely.
But obviously, Inter were facing the winner of Juve against Milan, and Milan won that game 2-1. Now, this match marked Milan's debut under Sergio Conceição, who graced the touchline despite having a fever of 39 degrees Celsius or 102 in Fahrenheit, which in Malti bil-Malti tgħid kellu d-deni boss, kien ħajmut. He was gonna die. 102 degrees Celsius, I would call in sick for a week. But
he looked extremely unwell.
He looked extremely
so unwell. It's true.
He traveled to Milan, trained with the team, flew to Saudi Arabia with the team, dying, bro.
Smoked a cigar after beating Inter with a fever.
We'll get to all that. Smashed a TV.
Smashed a TV as well, apparently.
I fucking couldn't love this guy more. But the headlines were all about how this match saw Sergio Conceição taking on his son Francisco Conceição, Juve's deadly winger. But unfortunately, this was not to be due to Francisco pulling out in the warm-up, and he was replaced by Yildiz. Conceição, in his first game for Milan, opted for a 4-3-3 with Ben Nasser back in midfield and Jimenez in place of the injured Leao. Notably, Tomori started ahead of Gabbia amidst rumours of his move to Juve. Milan had a very quiet first half, and Juve capitalised on this by opening the scoring through Yildiz, who smacked the ball into the roof of Manjan's near post after a defence-splitting pass by Mbangula. Theo was criticised for failing to intercept and being wrong-footed.
That was some goal by Yildiz. That finish was spectacular.
It was the only way.
He was really feeling it, bro. When it came to the forward line of Juventus, he stood out. And Mbangula played very well, but Yildiz was the main threat over there. A complete polar opposite performance to what Vlahovic did, because
Vlahovic and Cope Miners
didn't have the best game
stuck
at all.
out like, well, Vlahovic stuck out like a sore thumb.
yeah.
Cope Miners was invisible, which I know that sometimes him being invisible is a good thing when he plays in a deeper role, but he's playing as an attacking midfielder, and Motta is persistently playing him in that role, and it just doesn't seem like it suits him so much. But I guess we'll get into that in the...
Lost most of his duels, lost possession a few times, his crosses were wildly inaccurate as well.
Because if he's going to play there and he's going to have... You're playing him there because he's a goal-scoring midfielder.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a striker that is intelligent enough or good enough with his back towards goal that's going to set him up. He can't play that secondary striker role over there.
Exactly.
But anyway, after halftime, Milan looked like a different team. Maybe it had something to do with a feverish Conceição smashing up a TV in the dressing room, as Ibra claimed he did, but there was an instant reaction from Milan. And I wouldn't say that tactically they looked more sound, but the players had this fire under their stomachs, and this was what I, as a fan, wanted to see. It is the first time you're going to see Milan react after halftime with Conceição. It is imperative that you have a manager that after halftime you go out better, because you touched base with the manager, and that's what we saw from Milan. Moments after Theo missed an absolute peach of a chance, an embarrassing miss by Theo, Pulisic was clumsily brought down in the area by Locatelli.
He does that so well. Pulisic is an expert at like squeezing into the gap between the defender and the ball as he's about to clear it.
Yeah, that's where he scored against Inter.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
position.
And he, it's quite in a certain way, it's dirty. You know what I mean? Because you're winning a foul,
smart.
you're forcing yourself to be fouled. It's street smart, exactly. And I'm happy we have Milan have a player up front who is capable of being so intelligent and hashay. How do you say it?
Hashay. You're street smart.
Street smart, yeah.
You're opportunistic. Opportunistic. But yeah, he won the penalty. Locatelli was devastated, and he took full responsibility. He took full responsibility for the loss. He's like, I didn't concentrate for a split second, and there Pulisic was, and I brought him down.
I'm kicking an American guy to the ground.
It looked like we were screaming for a penalty on Theo. From another challenge that there was from Savona, I think. I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
But the American converted the penalty, even though it was struck straight at Di Gregorio. Di Gregorio got a huge touch to it. It was at least a powerful penalty, and it went past him. It has to be said, Di Gregorio looked shaky all game. Any other day he'd save that penalty. It was a shit penalty.
I thought he looked nervous coming out of the tunnel.
You
I said from the get-go, like look at how he was desperately, repeatedly doing the sign of the cross. You know what I mean? Like of course there's superstition, but body language is very telling sometimes, and you could see in his eyes that he was a little bit bewildered, Di Gregorio. And I was very frustrated, and this is when I told you in the first half that Milan just weren't shooting. Like I don't have the stats, maybe I can check here actually, but in the first half I don't believe Milan had a single shot.
No, they didn't.
2 shots, I don't
None
think any of them were on target.
None
exactly,
on target.
yeah. Which is crazy, because you see a goalkeeper who's so nervous on his line, test him.
Yeah.
And at a point when a cross came in, he dealt with it really weirdly as well. He put it out for a corner.
Yeah, bro, he was weird all game.
Yeah.
All game.
Not to mention eventually,
Yeah, well. And then 4 minutes later, Musa, who came on for Ben Nasser, and this is what he does brilliantly. So different to Ben Nasser. When he came on for that substitution, we went from having this deep-lying playmaker who he wasn't bad, Ben Nasser, but he was incredibly rusty. His decisions are always smart, and he always makes the perfect decision. It's just the execution wasn't quite there yet.
Sometimes his mind is sharper than his body, but we saw some
glimpses, which is good with his new teammates. Man, he was still linking up
he's
well
really
with
taken
them.
on the role of a leader. I don't know if it's because he felt at home, but he really has been speaking highly and saying we deserve to be here, we deserve this. This is a victory that we forced. We came out much better in the second half. We reacted. You know, all this
he's
stuff.
one of the Scudetto winning guys.
One of the only ones left.
One of the most decorated players in Milan's team as a Milanist. But that's what Musa does well. He gives us something so different. He operates in that mezzala role, closer to the wing. He's good for covering Emerson Royal when he wants to go up. He's good for covering Pulisic when Pulisic wants to drift in, and also being just a steady midfielder who likes to carry the ball forward. He did carry the ball forward here. He looked to cross the ball. It was a shit cross because it hit Gatti, who was the first man on him. Took a wicked deflection and went in completely wrong-footing Di Gregorio, and it was an insanely lucky goal for Milan, who went 2-1 up in a matter of 4 minutes. I know it sounds normal that cross took a deflection and went in, but watch this. Di Gregorio was completely wrong-footed. The cross, it's not like it was on the byline or something like that. It was from way out, from way outside the area. It was bizarre.
He overcommitted to handling the cross, Di Gregorio, and I don't think you can assume that the ball, like, you're so wildly off your line, you're almost encouraging the shot.
Yeah.
Let alone, the ball might deflect. You need to always prioritize your post.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, Gatti rushing and closing in on Musa left a man alone in the middle. I think it was Milan had a numerical advantage.
Yeah.
So it was an awkward situation. So maybe Di Gregorio thought, by coming out, I'm technically I'm getting closer to the free man. I don't know. The problem is, in a situation like that, you have to make a decision very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's where experience plays a big part, right? And nerves will work against you, because that was quite an embarrassing miscommunication by Gatti.
It's an embarrassing miscommunication,
but it's
I
also
think
a freak accident.
the fact of the matter is, like we said, it was incredibly lucky for Milan and incredibly unlucky. It's not like it was the case. Who was that player that, for example, there was a more recent case where this happened, but for some reason I'm only remembering Champions League quarterfinals, Liverpool against Chelsea. Marco Aurelio, not Marcus Aurelius, but Marco Aurelio did it to Petr Cech.
Yeah.
He did to Petr Cech, where Petr Cech it was a free kick at an angle, and Aurelio went for the near post as Petr Cech was on the spot, looking to claim a cross. But obviously he's smart and he went for the near post. But anyway, Gatti and then had the chance to equalise in the 95th minute, which would have sent the game straight to penalties and obviously make amends for his own goal. He had a point-blank volley, but Gabbia produced an incredible block to deny him and send Milan to the final. How much of it did he know? I don't know, but it was great instincts. He put his heel up at the right time.
I think he knew all about it, to be honest with you. He literally extended his leg to block the shot. It was a wild block, bro. What instincts by Gabbia. And to be honest with you, we had this conversation during the final. I'm surprised Conceição arrived and he looked at that defensive line and Gabbia was the person he benched. Because in my opinion, Gabbia is the best of the lot.
100%. He's the most calculated, the calmest, and also the most intelligent in the sense of, and I say this every single episode, I think he knows when to press. He knows when to commit to an interception. He knows when to close a man down.
He keeps the line neatly organized. He is the least error-prone of all the defenders. I think he's very safe. But then when you look at the way Conceição approached the game against Inter with a high line, because Milan did play quite a high line against Inter, maybe he prioritized recovery centre-backs. And I think it might have been the same logic for the Juve game as well. Having someone who can keep up with Vlahovic, with Lautaro, and the likes of... I mean, at the end of the day, they were expecting to run probably, right? When they were in their preparation. But I don't know. I wonder if Gabbia is a staple third choice for him or if he'll play it depending on his opponent.
I think it depends on the opponent, and that is one thing about Conceição is he prepares for the team in front of him. And that's the main thing. Like Taco told us as well on the group, it's like he doesn't have a staple starting 11. He's always shifting things around with the 4-4-2, 4-3-3. We saw him change at halftime against Inter, going for a 4-4-2, changing his approach. So I think it's highly dependent on that. I think you're right to say that with the high line, it's important to have recovery centre-backs. I don't think you can bench Chow, bro.
Chow has been an animal.
Chow is Maldini, man.
Chow is...
But he was...
is a vintage centre-back. That performance against Inter was so good.
Man, he's remarkable. When he has a good game, he is remarkable. He doesn't put a foot wrong. But then, he often puts foot wrong. He often puts foot wrong.
But the thing is that he had pretty much a flawless spell, followed by a poor start to the season. I think it's
After
because
his
he was
injury?
disrupted by an injury, exactly, where he never recovered, and I think his confidence was shot.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's been playing decently, he's only been getting better and better
It's
and
true.
better. And that game against Inter was his magnum opus. It was absolutely incredible. What a game he played,
Yeah,
bro.
incredible. Just some more points, and then
One of the sliding tackles as well, man. Jesus Christ! What a tackle.
when the sliding tackle
On
that led to
Barella.
the Dumfries chance. Dumfries made me shit my pants. He was clean through on goal, but Chow initially got a very good tackle, man. On Barella it was. At some points, Locatelli, of course, as I said earlier, took full responsibility for this game. He said it was on him that Milan found the momentum to get back into the game because he gave away the penalty. Vlahovic, absolute shit in this game. Cope Miners wasn't great either, but I think Vlahovic,
Vlahovic was against them. I was relieved every time he got the ball.
It is. I haven't seen a performance that bad by a striker since Lukaku with Belgium, where he missed those sitters. I'm not saying he missed sitters. It's not only at this point. I wish
He's
he
making
was just
mistakes on the
making
halfway
sitters,
line.
but he can't pass a ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where to be. He's sticking out like a sore thumb in this Motta system. And speaking of Motta, who we defend, will continue to defend. He's a fantastic manager. He needs his players, and he needs to grow into it. But it's at that stage where it starts to be questioned, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's the board of Juve that are discussing it, discussing the possibility of, are there better alternatives? Sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case at all, I will continue to defend Motta, who will be, in my opinion, a champion at Juventus, with the right time and with the right squad.
I think he's the highest paid manager.
It could be. Juve always have the highest paid manager in the league, to be honest.
I'm not sure. I'm checking that out.
But also, what was I gonna say? I also think that if you are going to hold anyone accountable, I think we all say what good business Giuntoli did in summer, because you look at the names he brought in, of course. Cope Miners, Douglas Luiz, Nico Gonzalez. Amazing work, no? But Douglas Luiz isn't sniffing the starting lineup. Cope Miners hasn't quite fitted in yet. Nico Gonzalez, okay, he was on and off with injury, but he chose to bring in an injury-prone player. Didn't invest in defenders. Bremer's out and they're way leakier defensively. So, did Giuntoli do that great a job in the summer? Is it all on Motta? If it's a personnel issue, how can that be on Motta? I think just because Giuntoli is held in high regard and he doesn't normally make any bad decisions, I think the responsibility should be shared, which is only more of a reason to hang on to Motta.
Where Giuntoli lacked, Motta made up for in certain moments. Let's not forget the first game of the season, where he had to start in Bangula out of nowhere. This player from Juve Next Gen that had never had a single appearance, he hit the ground running. And then another gap in the team had to be filled with Savona.
Yeah.
You know? The problem is there are two glaring positions that needed to be upgraded, man. One of the full-back positions, you know. Centre-back, granted, they had Bremer. They had no idea who was going to get an ACL.
But who got rid of Huijsen?
Yes, that's because they were so desperate to clear the not even the deadwood. They wanted to cut their losses as much as possible. They wanted to fix the books.
It led to erratic decisions.
Exactly,
because
and Huijsen
super...
is the most ridiculous of them all. If you're bringing in Thiago Motta, you can't get rid of Dean Huijsen. And not to mention as well, that striker situation was just a glaring, obvious weakness in the team.
They have one striker
They have
and
one
he's ass.
striker, and not to mention his backup is Milik, who I think recovered recently and got injured again before
he
we could
hasn't
even
played football in like a year, Milik, man. Come
it's
on,
a
I
shame.
played
He's
football
good,
more
but
recently than
he's
Milik.
so injury prone. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now he's having to play Nico Gonzalez as kind of that false nine kind of profile. I think when it comes to the squad, there are still many things that need to be fixed. Motta doesn't really lose with this team, which is always a positive. And when it comes to if they should sack him or not, I think it would be. Again, it would be foolish to sack him in. I mean, it would be, especially considering how unlucky they were in a bit of an injury crisis, weren't they?
They had an
and
injury
they haven't
crisis.
lost.
And it's also, I mean, you can't have the youngest team in Serie A the youngest team Juve have ever had. I believe that's a stat. It's the youngest team Juve have ever had in history when it comes to
The squad.
the squad, the average age of the squad. You can't do all of that with a new manager, new players, next-gen players playing, have an injury crisis and expect top results.
Yeah.
It's a project which they have to obviously stick through. I think attempting to bring in Zirkzee, or if not Zirkzee, Kolo Muani, or whoever it takes to give them that extra fire up front, give them more brains up front, then I think that can change their entire season.
Zirkzee would be wicked. I mean, if they do something clever, like Adam's words still ring true in my opinion. Imagine in January now, they bring in Ismaili from Empoli and Zirkzee. It's an operation that can be done without even spending much right now, because you can probably bring them both in on loan. At most, Ismaili isn't going to cost you a lot at all. It's Empoli, and if you wiggle 7 million euros in front of their face, they'll buy it, unfortunately, because these teams are desperate to
Same with
make
Genoa
money.
and
Exactly.
Dragushin,
Especially when the asset isn't exactly young, like Ismaili, They could get it done for cheap, and it would fix their team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they have to. They have to. The defensive situation, their best defender has an ACL injury. Vlahovic is misfiring. 12 goals this season. To be fair.
To be fair to him, yes.
To say it all. But also just horrific performances. So that's a little bit on Juve. Milan, of course, as I said, we saw a good reaction, but more about Milan in this part to come. And then there's the final. You're happy to move on to the final?
Of course. I've been waiting for this moment since I woke up this morning.
So, in the final, which Milan won 3-2, coming back from 2 goals from behind, Inter had to start Taremi in place of the injured Thuram, whilst Milan started Musa in place of Ben Nasser, once again a 4-3-3 formation, and once again Leao was only fit for the bench, with Jimenez starting in his stead. This time, just an odd thing that we saw was Jimenez and Pulisic switched sides.
But that makes sense, because Pulisic's best position is on the left, so he can cut inside onto his stronger foot, while Jimenez's role in this team is very makeshift. You know what I mean? He's not going to stand out. You know what I mean? Like this, it gives you the classic inverted winger, direct winger, someone who can take it to the byline, someone who can help Emerson Royal a little bit with his defensive duties,
for sure,
and give you a bit of balance while they attack with Theo and Pulisic on the other side.
For sure. The first half was cagey, I think, to say the least. It almost felt like Inter didn't want to do much because they didn't know what to expect. They had one case study, but they only had 3 days to study it. Keep in mind, Inter had an extra day of recovery and study to Milan. But it felt a little bit cagey. There was an excellent save by Mike Maignan from a DeMarco long-range strike, and Hakan had to be substituted as early as the 35th minute due to an injury to his adductor muscle also. So that's both adductor injuries for them, which could easily be... They call that, so at the gym, there's this machine called... you can do the adductor and the abductor. The adductor is when you pull in with your knees, you pull in with your inner thighs. And the
abductor is when you grab a child and run home with her.
Yes, but then you push out. You push out. And I remember I had a friend at the gym. I was doing these exercises. He told me, "You play football?" And I said, "No." He said, "This is for women and football players." So I stopped doing them, obviously. He's like, "Just squat, bro." But it's a very, very common injury that comes from fatigue in footballers. It's all about like the change of direction, the stretching when you go to... In fact, you see the stretches, the first one that you learn is when you stretch your adductor. I remember doing that when we were 4 years old, playing with Mosta.
And you feel like a bloody professional.
Yeah. And he was replaced by Aslani. In the 45th minute, on the stroke of half-time...
Can I comment about that, about the Aslani?
So, I want to comment on it, but then there were also other scenarios where the point we want to make is more prevalent.
Yes.
But let's say it anyway.
Sure. Çalhanoğlu. So Inter have... their starting 11 is absolutely phenomenal for what Inzaghi wants to do, and it's one of the best Inter teams I have seen in my life, as I said in a last episode or the episode before. However, while their depth is of good quality, they don't possess the same characteristics as the starting 11. They don't have the same strengths. So what Çalhanoğlu gives you can't be done by Aslani.
What Mkhitaryan gives you can't be done by Zielinski.
Yeah.
Barella, Frattesi, no. Because they have a very unique team.
Yes.
Barella is molded, I feel like this entire Inter team is built around him.
Yeah.
In that regard. Mkhitaryan, I don't think there are few midfielders in the world that have his technique, his vision, and his industry.
Yes. His
Which
industry is
Zielinski-
second to none, I think.
Zielinski can be that, but he's not there yet. Of course, Mkhitaryan is tougher, and he also has way more experience. And you see them, despite bringing on quality players, they get weaker as a team.
Of course, because you bring on Zielinski and you bring on Aslani, you're losing a lot of that midfield control when you're out of possession.
Even
They're not
Augusto for Di Marco.
Yeah. Well, not
Yes,
as much. You lose going forward, and then with that, as in Carlos Augusto isn't bad at bombing forward, but he can't play the ball like Di Marco can. Di Marco is a musician, and his left foot is his instrument, man. You know what I mean? Like or the ball is his instrument, actually, rather, I should probably say. Yeah. But exactly, and that's the point, you know, even the fact that Thuram is injured, the most similar player to Thuram on this team is Correa, who's also injured, as in the sense that, you know, he can cover the most ground, run in behind, drive with the ball, you know. Taremi and Lautaro are a different striking setup to when you have Thuram or Correa as one of them.
For sure.
And again, that's I think that's what was key in this game. First of all, Milan not giving up, because that was the spirit of Milan was tangible. It was palpable this game. As well as the fact that Milan got stronger while Inter got much weaker.
Yeah. However,
Let's go on.
when Çalhanoğlu got injured and he was replaced by Aslani, of course, the score was 0-0. And in the 45th minute, on the stroke of halftime, there's 1 minute additional time. Lautaro scores. He scored through the legs of Theo. You'll see a theme over here. It's constantly, unfortunately, in the semi-final and in the final for now. Theo, his form hasn't improved up until this point, naturally. It was set up by Taremi after a quick throw-in by Di Marco. Very intelligent, quick throw-in by Di Marco. Some phenomenal, whatever Arab ball boy gave the ball to Di Marco that quickly. Fuck you, bro. it was remarkable.
And I don't know if anyone listening or watching had the same experience, but I was looking at the wrong ball. I was still looking at the ball that had been played out, because it was rolling, and I wasn't sure if it was in or out. But it had crossed the line. Then next thing I know is Matthew's going, no! I look and then they're like running through past Emerson Royal.
I won't talk about Emerson, the Emerson Royal sequence that led to the throw-in, but
There were some moments where
I'm afraid, bro. This guy, he had the most passes complete in an attacking phase for the entire game. He puts in a shift. Bless him. He tries so hard.
It's true.
He's so clumsy. He's so erratic. He's so not refined at all.
Yeah.
The ball was hitting him, and he's tripping over his own legs, and he's getting up. Someone bumps into him, and he's bodied like. And
there was one sequence. I know
man.
the sequence you're talking about. I think there
this
were.
One.
This is the one.
This is the one.
This
the
led
one
to
that
the
led
goal.
to
The
throw-in.
three.
I believe it led to the throw-in.
Hilarious, man. I feel bad for him because he has a very good attitude. He seems like a good team player. He tries and he gives everything he possibly can, but he's a bit of a klutz, man.
Yes,
he's too clumsy.
He's clumsy.
He's too clumsy.
He's clumsy.
And he's not, as you said, he's not refined. He's the least Brazilian I've ever seen.
I don't think his level is a top club in the world, man. He can put in a good shift elsewhere. Well, I'll stop because he put in a good shift here and he was good technically in this game.
He played 87 minutes in a comeback victory against Inter. You know?
Yeah.
And not to mention, bro, with Emerson Royal, it's weird. I don't know if this is a tactical instruction from the opposition, but he's always the player who's given the most time and space when it comes to crossing.
Yeah.
Always.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there were so many moments in this game where Emerson Royal had so much time to tee up a cross.
Mm-hmm.
You know, granted, it was Morata on the box, which isn't exactly ideal, but then when Tammy came on, it became a bit more dangerous.
Yeah.
But But I don't know.
That's where I really like the underlap of Pulisic.
Yeah, same.
That to avoid Emerson's crosses because they're not great, unfortunately. Pulisic's on the other hand
Are good.
Remarkable.
Even though they were all into Sommer's hand this game.
it's true. This goal of Lautaro Martinez, which was taken expertly by him, you wouldn't tell that he's off form. That's his 4th Supercoppa goal, tying Paulo Dybala's record. There are some excellent names up there with 3 goals. There's Shevchenko, for example. I believe there's Del Piero. For sure there's Del Piero, considering how many finals he would have been in. In the second half, before Milan could say, shit, here we go again, Taremi doubled Inter's lead with an exceptional first touch and finish, capitalizing on a De Vrij long ball over the top. Very good finish. This was a moment where the high press and the high line bit Milan in the ass because it was a simple ball over the top by De Vrij. Brilliant finish by Taremi, who averaged a goal per game for Porto under Conceição. And at this point, after that goal was scored, we thought it was done. Inter thought it was done.
Absolutely. So
Taremi started
celebration,
dancing. They're being cocky, and it just so that Jake's playing it right now, and I have to watch this dance.
I'm not quite sure. The second half has just started, and it seems like there was a defensive miscommunication about who should press him. Like, you look at Theo, who just casually lets him go.
It was too easy.
Yeah, it was way too easy. And then you see Tomori as well, who was looking for the offside.
Yeah.
And again, the celebrations here screamed like we've done it.
Yep, and I mean, we all thought it was done over there. Of course, Taremi had to score against Milan because he was linked to Milan, and if you're linked to Milan, you go to Inter, then you'll score against Milan.
Yeah, exactly.
But as soon as that went in, the decision was made by Conceição, who he told us that Leao only has 30 minutes in him, but he gave him more. He gave him 40. The second that happened, he brought on Leao for Jimenez. And as soon as Leao came on, he won a free kick in a dangerous area. Who steps up? Theo Hernandez goes for the low strike at the near post for Sommer, beats him. Goal.
The craziest thing about this goal is that before Theo shot, Matthew turned to me and told me, if I were taking this, I'd go low and hard, and I'd surprise the goalkeeper by bending it around the wall. I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, what? I'm like, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Theo does exactly what he said.
I said if I was Theo, because of the left foot. But before it was taken, to be fair, to give myself less credit, I said, we have no one who can hit these. And I said, I hope to God Reinders takes it, and not Theo. Yeah. I'm wearing Theo's shirt today. Because I've never seen a switch flick that hard. He scored a brilliant goal over there from a dead ball situation, from nothing. Great by Leao to win the foul. It was a good sequence as well.
You know what it is as well? I think when the opposition pisses off Theo, Milan get the best out of him. Dumfries charged him up. It's all his fault. He revved him up, dude. And there was that moment where Dumfries, when Çalhanoğlu went off injured, Dumfries was rolling around on the floor, trying to get him sent off. And it really wasn't a red card at all.
No.
And like the camera at one point panned to him, and you literally hear Dumfries going, "Ah!" like come on, dude. And you could tell, man, Theo Hernandez is very affected by this stuff, and you could tell he was driven to beat him personally. I feel.
Every time he plays Dumfries, they actually hate each other. I fucking love it, man. I love that battle.
Same.
After that, Leao continued to terrorize Inter. At one point, man, he skipped past Bissek, squared it. The ease at which he beats his man when he's on was ridiculous. How he skipped past Bissek. He squared it to Reinders, who had an open net, but he was a little bit wrong-footed.
He was falling.
And Bastoni blocked it with his face. Although I suspect the shot was going off the bar, over the bar. There it is. I think it might have.
It was definitely rising. I think it might have gone slightly over, but
Yeah,
but what a move by Leo.
he took a heavy one there, a bastoni.
Yeah,
It was like imagine an uppercut by Mike Tyson. That's what that would have been, man.
That's true.
But yeah, Leao, absolutely. I can't stress enough how much he changed the game. And then in the 71st minute, Inter couldn't have gotten any closer. They could not have gotten any closer. It was an Augusto header, or at least I think it hit his head because he was colliding with Chow, I believe, which hit the post. And it seemed to be going in after it hit the post, and it hit the stationary leg of Manyan, who was rooted to the spot. Goal line technology showed that the ball was millimeters from crossing the line.
Yeah.
But it was a stroke of luck that for Milan. Super unlucky that Inter didn't make it 3-1 at that point, which would have changed the outcome
definitely changed
completely. And then in the 79th minute, Milan equalized. Leao unleashed a brilliant long ball to Theo down the flank. That's what we love to see. Look at that for a pass. Whose low cross was controlled and finished by Pulisic on his weaker left foot on the turn. Expertly taken by Pulisic. And that is the position where he wins so many penalties for Milan.
Exactly. That is that thing that he did, the run in, because this ball by Theo was heading towards the center circle, which is probably it's the most dangerous area on the box. Like it was behind Tammy, so it caught the defenders on Tammy flat-footed, right? Pulisic was behind Bastoni as he started the run, and somehow he ends up in front of him to control the ball and shoot perfectly on the turn, which is a very difficult thing to do.
On his weaker left foot.
He's so nimble.
Pulisic is insane, bro. There isn't anything there isn't anything he doesn't have.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he's ambidextrous, he's intelligent, he's quick, he can beat his man. He's insane, and that's his second goal in two derbies. Well, in two derbies this season, obviously.
Yeah, he's become a real leader as well.
Yeah. In the 87th minute, Inter had a golden opportunity to win it, and it was written in the stars for them.
That's the block by Chow, by the way.
And then Dumfries. Inter had a golden opportunity. It was written in the stars as Dumfries, who put two past Atalanta to get Inter to the final. He was clean through on goal. The ball fell to him after a brilliant block by Chow, who denied Barella, but it fell right to Dumfries, clean through on goal in front of Manyan. Manyan does brilliantly well to save the placed shot with his leg, just opens himself up perfectly like the eagle that he is, Magic Mike Manyan, Capitano, and just denies Dumfries excellently. And at this stage, it's obviously the game. Obviously, it's going to penalties. We've accepted it. We didn't talk about it. We said the second, we didn't let the P word come out of our mouths.
There was one point when Emerson left. At least I said, we're not going to see an Emerson penalty this
an
game.
Emerson P word, but it turns out the P word was once again Pulisic, because Pulisic in the 93rd minute played a defense-splitting ball to Leao.
One of those passes that honestly, if you're watching on TV, you don't even see it.
You're like, who gave that pass with his left again?
And he knows his teammates so well as well, because there aren't many players who can get to that ball. And Leao, literally, when Pulisic looked up, he spotted Leao starting the run. And he played it perfectly.
What a ball. And then, obviously, Leao on the byline, he doesn't make wrong decisions anymore. Here, it's an area of his game where you can't fault him anymore. Looks up, spots Tammy, squares it to him, Tammy into the back of the net. 93rd minute winner. Milan win their 8th Super Cup with a 93rd minute winner in the Derby della Madonnina by Tammy Abraham. Conceição in 2 games beat Juve, beat Inter, and won a trophy.
Yeah, he went from having a fever to smoking a cigar.
And doing his fucking dance.
Where I'm pretty sure he's dry humping the air.
Love it, bro. Love it.
How do you think Fonseca feels looking at him?
Depressed, eh?
Depressed, it must suck, eh? I mean, Fonseca would have thought, I could have done that. I could have beaten. He literally beat Inter this season. He beat Real Madrid.
What I want to see now from Conceição, because this is beyond good by Conceição. What I want to see now is how he fares against
The
Parma.
smaller teams,
How he
exactly.
fares against
Because
Cagliari.
we had no complaints about Fonseca and the big games.
Yeah.
What I really enjoyed though is Conceição in such a short period of time seemed to recognize the strengths of many players and of the team itself. How many times did we say that Leao was when it comes to the counter-attacking situations, when he's isolated 1v1 against a defender, he's the best in the world in that situation. He will absolutely destroy his man. He has a gear that no other players have. And when it comes to as well, nowadays he can get it done in tighter spaces, it feels. When he did it to Bissek, he didn't even have that much space.
No,
but
bro.
He's becoming so good at it that he can knock it right to the byline and beat his man with speed and pace and strength.
And Conceição notices these
Conceição
things, man.
noticed and noticed the goals came through counter-attacks, most of them. And that second one was textbook.
Yeah.
You know, that Theo unleashing Leao and etc. etc. That was honestly good recognition of the tools he has available.
And what can a manager do in the span of 1 week? Not much. He's not going to get the team playing football the way that he wants them to play football. Hell, Fonseca had 18 games and the team didn't play football the way Fonseca wanted them to play football.
He hasn't even picked his starting 11.
It is something that takes ages. But what can you do in a week? You can fucking motivate a group. And there's no false try-hard bullshit to try to motivate them, like picking a fight with someone, benching someone just to put your balls out on the table or whatever. He has that natural, motivational charisma. He's tough, but he's likable. He'll smoke a cigar with you and dance if you win the cup. But he will petrify you at halftime. He'll be frothing at the mouth, screaming, breaking TVs while he doesn't talk about how hard he's working like Fonseca did, but he's there with a fever, bro, smashing TVs in Saudi Arabia, which I'm pretty sure you get a lifetime in prison if you do that. But he definitely, with 2 comebacks like that, the one thing he's managed to do in 1 week of managing Milan is he's motivated the group.
Absolutely, yes. And the clearest example was Theo Hernandez. Leao coming on and changing the game like that and pressing so aggressively was very good as well. Musa coming on so charged as well in the game against Juve and changing the game. He was the guy who changed the game. Musa. You hear the fans in Saudi Arabia. You ask them who are the best players in the world. They'll tell you Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, and Yunus Musa. That's what they'll tell you because they were chanting his name non-stop that game against Juve. But yes, absolutely, man. He has impressed me so far, Conceição, and it's a shame. It's a real shame that the Milan management didn't go for him from the get-go this season, because it would have been a different story entirely. I mean, the good thing is that Milan are still alive in the Champions League. They're actually doing quite well. The league situation needs to improve.
Top 4. Milan need to get top 4.
That's it. Milan need to start beating the lower teams convincingly, and hopefully Conceição can get that done. And I would imagine the profile that he has shown us will be the type to get it done. No bullshit, right?
Yeah, there's going to be no lackadaisical performances against Cagliari, who I believe is Milan's next game. Yes, Cagliari is Milan's next game, and then the last game
Milan
will
are playing Cagliari next.
I believe
How
so.
is that possible? Milan
Because
played them really
it's
recently.
not, but that's not how it works. It's not Milan don't play Torino after the halfway point. It's Cagliari next and then Como. Is it not?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's absolutely gross.
It's tough for Inter because in their last 3 games against Milan, they faced 3 different coaches. Pioli, Fonseca, Conceição. So Milan management, Milan higher-ups, if you want to beat Inter, just change coach. Completely discombobulates them. They had Pioli's number, but doesn't seem they have any Portuguese coach's number. There was, of course, beef between Conceição and Inzaghi back from Conceição's Porto days, where he refused to shake Inzaghi's hand, so there was that personal agenda over there as well. Conceição knew more about Inzaghi's Inter than Inzaghi knew about Conceição's Milan, which played to their advantage. I can't stress this enough, Inter had an extra day of rest as well. But like the point we alluded to earlier, it felt like they got weaker as the game progressed with the substitutions that they made.
No
whereas
rotation.
Milan,
It's an amateur mistake.
whereas
yeah.
Milan bringing on Tammy Abraham is much better for this team than Morata.
So this is my point. Morata, what he gives you off the ball is honestly
Industry.
it's something that you can easily overlook.
Yeah.
But when you look at the distance covered, he's always in the top 3. When you look at it as well, how every game he absolutely clatters one of the playmaking midfielders. Like that affects these guys. They'd be desperate to get rid of the ball, thinking this guy's just gonna charge at me every time I'm on it. He is a great player when it comes to just high press and winning the ball back. The problem is when so much of your game plan relies on having a fox in the box, on having a target man. When Royal is getting the ball 6 times out wide and trying to cross the ball in, and you don't have a body to target. You're not playing Loftus-Cheek, so he can't even enter the box late. You've got tiny guys up front, only tiny guys. So Abraham, I guess, gives you that size and that target man potential. The problem, and then, is that Tammy Abraham is also is extremely wasteful. So I don't think there really is a profile at Milan right now that totally fits what Conceição wants perfectly.
And
when it comes to the strikers.
Milan have been linked to a very audacious move in January, a 5 million loan of Darwin Nunez, and then they have to pay like 45 million to sign him, and it would be an obligation. Say what you want, of course he's another clumsy striker, but he has a very high ceiling, and Liverpool bought him with the knowledge that he can be a world-class player. And I think profile-wise, as a big target man, fox in the box, he's still just 25 years of age. We see what he can do. He just doesn't do it consistently. 50 million is a lot of money. If Milan do it, I'm glad it's on this guy, because he is one of those players that can be reborn in Italy. He definitely can be reborn in Italy. It's a gamble because he can dribble the entire team, dribble the keeper, and shoot it out for a throw-in. Like, he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, love that he's from Uruguay.
Yeah, gives you
absolutely
those cojones.
Love the philosophy, the Guanes, bro. When it comes to the way they play football, it's so physical and aggressive. It's lovely to watch. Yes, we also saw, and we mentioned the Lorenzo Lucca rumor, which also would be very interesting, because imagine all those crosses coming in, and you've got a player who, even if you jump, you can't even reach him.
Yeah, these are rumored for January, by the way. I don't think Lucca's rumored for January, but Darwin is rumored for January.
Milan can cook up.
Rashford is rumored for
to
January.
me is honestly, what are you doing? Like, you've seen the problems with Milan recently. You've seen so many problems with attitudes. You're gonna go for a player who's been in the news for all the wrong reasons. What are you doing? Just because he fed the few homeless children, like, Grant, that's great that he did that. You know what I mean? He's loved by the PR, by the press and the media and whatever. But when it comes to the actual profile himself, he is a very difficult player to manage. And when you have Leao and Theo, it's already quite difficult, man.
That's the thing. So, are Milan signing him as a striker? I hope to God not, because he's not a striker, and every single manager that has managed him, Mourinho included, said he's not a striker. So if he's not a striker, he's a left winger. Hello, one of the best left wingers in the world, Rafael Leao, irreplaceable. So are we going to sign Rashford on those super high wages for him to be a Leao, to play, to be the replacement of Leao, to be the substitute, a vice Leao? I don't think so. I wouldn't go for Rashford.
Apparently Borussia Dortmund are very close. Hopefully he goes there, because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Do you think that's enough about the Super Cup? I think we've hit everything. How important is the Super Cup? I guess is something. I think it's
a trophy, and it was a derby final, so it was already very much more important. If it's a random game against Inter, it's already a heated affair, let alone a final, And how important was it? You can say it's a Mickey Mouse trophy, whatever, but look at what it's going to do to Milan's confidence right now. I think Milan are in a very good place right now, while Inter, with this Mickey Mouse trophy, have lost 2 of their starters, while exhausting their starters by giving most of them 90 minutes. I think that these 2 games have been massive for Milan, and they have damaged Juve and Inter particularly.
And they have strengthened Milan. So I guess it meant a lot more. A victory in this would have meant a lot more to Milan than it would Inter. But yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly. I think we can move on.
Yes.
Shall we move on to Matchday 19 of Serie A?
Yes. Before we move on, I want to allude to the fact that the cover art this week is meant to be Conceição. Of course, it does look like Rossi from Criminal Minds, if you've ever watched it. You know which one Rossi is, bro? I'll show you right now. It's uncanny. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. He looks like this. What the hell? I'm on his website.
Okay, he's the one. Okay, I saw.
I'll show you later. Whatever.
He's quite. He's a daddy, so to say. No, he's kind of like a Hispanic guy with white hair and a beard.
Exactly. And in the show, he's like.
Why do you look at me weird when I said he's a daddy? It's literally the definition. If you open the word daddy on the dictionary,
so the definition wouldn't be a father. A term used by
in a cool dictionary.
In a cool dictionary, urban dictionary. Yes, shall we move on, bro? We had, I think we can go on to the Derby della Capitale.
Only derbies, bro. Fuck it, let's only do derbies this episode. What fun.
So, of course, as we mentioned, Pellegrini and Salamakers were on the score sheet. For Lazio, a win would have kept them entrenched in the top 4 and close to Napoli's heels at the top of the table. While for Roma, it was simply a matter of breathing room. And this victory did mean that they are now 6 points clear of the drop zone, which is crazy. But as Baroni said going into the game, this is not the same Roma that they were playing that they had seen for the rest of the season. This is a different Roma, right? And that's true. That's true. They look much better.
Yeah.
Roma entered the game playing a balanced 4-2-3-1 formation. They focused on a solid defense, quick transitions, what we've seen recently from Ranieri, what we saw from Cagliari last season, and kind of similar to what we saw from Mourinho's Roma as well.
Yeah.
There was a midfield double pivot, of course, allowing Pellegrini to operate freely as an attacking midfielder. He was a surprise addition this game, while Salamakers and the wingers stretched Lazio's defense and creating space centrally for Dovbyk to kind of execute his flick-ons to Dybala. For Lazio, it was a 4-3-3 setup, very offensive, aiming to kind of control the midfield and utilize their wingers for width. However, Roma were so defensively compact that they were forcing Lazio into less threatening areas. They were super organized when it came to their shape. And to be honest with you, I think it was a matter of Ranieri just outfoxing a younger managerial profile, right?
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a masterclass. You know, they went in aggressively, probably surprised Lazio from how aggressively they started the game. They got 2 goals early on, and then they shut up shop to the point that Lazio couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And when you look at the 3 bodies at the back in Indica, Hummels, and Mancini, those are 3 bloody beasts, man. They're 3
bloody beasts.
Bloody beasts.
Bloody beasts is what they are.
Bloody beasts.
When you look a beast in the eye, in the abyss. That's going good.
They're formidable.
Formidable back 3 for Roma. What was I going to say? Just to mention it again, just in case people are on YouTube and they skipped all the way to Roma Lazio. I know I'm repeating myself for the rest, but Pellegrini starting was a move by Ranieri, because before the game he mentioned how he won't be playing Pellegrini because he is essentially a mental mess
when affected too negatively by the crowd.
Yeah, by the crowd, by the media, by everyone. He said for that reason you can't play him in a derby. He starts him in the derby and he scores immediately. So a little bit of old school tricks by the 70-year-old manager, which is good to see, man.
Absolutely, yes. So it was the 11th minute when Pellegrini scored his crazy goal, and then in the 18th minute, Salamakers kind of forced the affair by it was a really swift counter-attack, and he basically squeezed his way through by shooting and hopping onto the rebound and getting that and slapping it into the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
Salamakers, love him. In the second half, in an attempt to overturn the deficit, of course, Lazio made 2 substitutions. They took out Isaacson and Della. Isaacson was like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
He is...
The occasion was almost too great.
I think when it comes to kind of like, I don't want to generalize, but when it comes to certain nationalities, when they see that fire, that Italian fire and that heat, and you know, it's not only Italians, it's the fact that you have, for example, Tati Castellanias would be so amped up this game and screaming and like he almost looked juiced. Tati Castellanias, how into it he was this game. I think it almost, if you're a bit reserved as a person or culturally, it almost makes you take a step back, man. You know, you have to get used to it. That's part of the adaptation period. Let's not forget that Isaacson, this is his first full season in Italy.
Yeah.
This is something he has to get used to, these atmospheres, the intensity on the pitch,
the derby,
the bad mouthing each other constantly, shit talking, you know.
Like that's one thing about this very new look Lazio team. Very new look. They've got a few new faces in this team with a new manager. The first derby and that derby of the magnitude of the derby della capitale is not like any other game. If they were expecting to go in and ride off the good form that they have, and of course they're going to beat Roma because they're doing a lot better this season. I know it's cliche, but when it's the derby, it's a final, man. The form doesn't matter. It goes out the window. It's a head-to-head between 22 men. And who is the toughest, who has the clearest mindset, who hones the occasion best, typically wins the game, man. And that's what Roma did. Ranieri is a seasoned veteran of the Derby della Capitale.
He's got a good record.
He's got a great record.
I don't think he's won 5, I think.
I think 5 he won. I read somewhere that he won 5 of them. Whereas, of course, Isaacson, Tati Castellanos, Dele Bashiru, Tavares, these are all new faces when it comes to the Derby della Capitale. They haven't been there before, and in fact, Tavares wasn't himself in this game. I think he had one good moment moving forward, but defensively, he was not sound.
Defensively, he struggled. However, I do think that he was a little bit better offensively than he has been very recently. Because he recently has kind of
dropped
been
off
less
bit.
involved. Of course, you can't expect
9
him to keep up
assists
that.
in 7
Exactly.
games.
It's
What did
crazy.
he have?
Like, of course, it was only natural. But there were certain moments that showed it's true, as you said, that these Lazio guys didn't really... Many of them didn't quite understand the culture of the derby. It was their first one. You see at the end of the game, for example, there was a moment where Hila was waving and smiling at someone in the stands. And you see Zaccagni slapping his hand, looking at him and like telling him off. Obviously, you're not going to smile and wave at the crowd after a 2-0 loss to your bitter rivals, you know?
No, it's not a good look at all. What did you make
It was 5 wins in 7 for Ranieri.
5 wins in 7, wow. What did you make of the decision? I think Dia was just coming back from injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Dia hasn't been at his best, huh?
He hasn't been at his best. But
and Della Bashiru's been a bit better.
Della Bashiru's been good. He's on good form. He just scored. Again, though, form doesn't matter. And I feel like Dia has scored a penalty with the curva of Salernitano, of his own team, booing him, abusing him, and he kept a cool head and scored. It just feels like, for an occasion like this, okay, he came on, he got 45 minutes.
He got his half.
But I don't know, I feel like maybe they wanted to be a bit more cautious as well, go for a 4-3-3 rather than a 4-2-3-1. But I don't know, it feels like Dia has the profile for a derby. You know, he's made for these occasions. He's a tough son of a bitch.
However, it's a little bit less top-heavy with Della Bashiru because he can give you a little bit more in defense, you know. So maybe Baroni was cautious on the fact that, you know, maybe he was actually expecting a little bit of...
violence.
A little bit of violence from Roma's side. A little bit of attacks. They were expecting Roma to attack, probably. A little bit to a certain extent. Yes, I think that being a derby man, Baroni could have adapted his style a little bit personally. I think that, you know, it's all nice to have your system and to attack and to play freely and all that, but Roma were really street smart, and I think you had to kind of come up with something a little bit
Uh-huh.
more out of the box than
Yeah.
what Lazio showed up with, because this was really disappointing.
So
for
I
Lazio.
think-
and they concede too easily as well.
Mhm. I think to sum it up, I think what Roma did very well, it's typically what Inter do very well, whereas they find a spell where they can get those 2 goals. They score one, get another one immediately. And then they didn't shut up shop completely. It's more that Lazio were retaining possession and attacking. It's not like Roma's decision was let them have the ball. I'm sure had they had the choice, they would have controlled possession a little bit more. But they had an opportunity at a 10-minute window where they found 2 goals. They smelled blood after that one goal, and they went on and found themselves another one. And they made it a really violent game in that sense. And then they organized themselves, they adapted, and they organized themselves brilliantly to deal with the onslaught of Lazio while still countering and going for those attacks. They didn't shut up shop completely. And it's just this identity that Roma now have, which they didn't have before. Now at least they're a hungry team. Similar with Milan. They're a hungry team, they're a hard-working team, and they're a team that, again, it feels like Ranieri understands their strengths a little bit better. This idea of Dovbyk coming in deeper and Dybala feeding Dybala rather than it being the other way around, because Dovbyk is the striker, Dovbyk needs goals. At this point, Dovbyk is feeding everyone else. No one's feeding Dovbyk.
Dovbyk, as we mentioned in the last episode, once again, is just impressing me game after game. I didn't know that he was so good at link-up, man. That assist against Milan. This game, the way he took the ball down for Dybala to take it, I believe, at one point, and it was really good, man. And again, man, the foundation of this team is very good. Let's not forget that at the beginning of the season, we had pundits talking about how Roma are potentially Scudetto. We didn't think so over here.
They say that every year about Roma.
But they do have a good foundation. As we mentioned, those 3 centre-backs are extremely tough to play.
Extremely good team. Look at their team, bro.
So it's Villar, Mancini, Hummels, and Dika. Salamaker's completed the 3 at the back system for them. Because with Celik or with Zalewski, it's not there.
I was saying this the entire time. They're going to get much better with Salamakers in the team. It's a completely new avenue.
Absolutely. So you have Angelino on one side, who's not too shabby either. You have Salamakers on the other. Kone and Paredes complement each other really well. Pellegrini, if he finds his groove, that's excellent. If not, you've got a few options off the bench in Lefi or Pizzilli or even what's his name, Baldanzi. I think can put in a shift as well. A little bit different as a profile, yes. But then you also have, of course, Dovbyk and Dybala up front. And I love Dybala in a free role. I don't like Dybala committed to one wing or to another in a 3-4-3 or in a 4-3-3. I much prefer him like this, man. You never know where he's going to go. He can stay close to the striker, kind of play off him and confuse the defenders, follow the referee a bit like Papu Gomez used to do with Gasperini. Yeah, I think that Roma will get much better. They will continue to get better.
What do you think so firstly, the Lazio drop-off needs to be spoken about, because if you look at their last 5 games, they've got 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw. And the draw and the loss came most recently, and those wins weren't in succession. So it's not like they're riding on good form at all. They're actually quite off form. They still have the Europa League where they're doing brilliantly. They're still top in the Europa League. But they're now essentially only 3 points ahead of Juventus, who have a game in hand.
Yes. So, first of all, it's important to mention that Lazio coming into the season exceeded all expectations. And of course, we're riding on this massive high. This could be viewed as a period of correction in the table where Lazio and Fiorentina dip down. The good thing for them is that the teams around them are on similar form in reality. When you look at them, they're not crazy different. The problem is that you're cutting yourselves from the top 3 who are really who have really found their rhythm and their groove. When it comes to their aspirations, I don't think they need to worry too much, because at the end of the day, a European spot is their aim. So I don't think they need to pile the pressure. They're still overachieving in Europe and doing very well over there. I think what might be a bit of a concern, if I really have to pick something, it's the transfer market rumors, because many players are slipping out of their
Lazio, really?
grips. It seems not players they have, but players they have been linked to. So Casadei has been linked to Torino now, and that would be an excellent signing, I think, for anyone who gets
What they're
Casadei.
looking to do with a young team.
Exactly. Fazzini is now being linked to Napoli. Foloruncio is being linked to Fiorentina. What about Lazio? They need some personnel, I think. I think they could do with more players. They took a punt on Castrovilli, let's be honest. Not really effective as a player. We saw that one injury at the back ended up leading to a 6-0 defeat against Inter because of having to play Gigot, who isn't quite ready for a game of that magnitude, and then having to take him out and play Marisic as a makeshift centre back. There are gaps in this team as well that need to be addressed. I haven't mentioned yet, actually, at the end of the game, Castellanos did get sent off. For a bit of he got involved in a bit of a scuff with Hummels. After like a sliding tackle or something, they were very close to each other on the floor, and Castellanos lashed out. He gave him a bit of a kick. Then they got up, and Hummels pushed him. Castellanos went to his face, and I think he kind of head-butted him a little bit, and that led to him being sent off. Then there was a massive fight at the end of the game, which saw Guendouzi dropping Ranieri.
What
on earth
are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Don't push it 7. And fuck you, by the way, 70-year-old man. Yeah.
What on earth? But a very good derby, man.
Yeah, amazing derby. It's exactly what you want from a derby. What do you think of Roma's aspirations now?
I mean, Roma can aim to try to get that Europa League spot. I mean, why not? If they have a good spell, it's not totally impossible. I think right now they have a good thing going. They kind of found the best players. They like their manager. There's a good vibe. They just win as many games as they can without really focusing too much on their position or looking at the relegation pool.
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, if they do qualify for Europe, you keep. What do you do? Do you keep Ranieri on? I believe.
I don't think you can, though.
You can't.
He's retired. It's like one of those movies where
he's just old. He's not retired.
No, he was retired.
Joking.
That's. No, I get you.
No, you get it.
But yeah, I believe me, I don't think it's the time to talk about what profile or manager they should get next season. I think there's so much harmony, finally. So much bloody harmony in this team, finally. That someone's come in. They have found
purpose in the chaos.
A respected guy has come in that everyone likes, and he's just lit a bit of a fire in the team. And there's this togetherness, there's this family feel to Roma that was gone, essentially. I think they could definitely go for a run in the Europa League. They have a lot of ground to make up for over there because they really struggled in the Europa League earlier. Guess what's in the Europa League? Lazio. Imagine.
Oh my god, imagine that final.
Imagine.
That would be
hopefully the table, the setup and whatever allows for that to happen, right? Because that would be one hell of a final. But I think Roma,
Italian football as well.
Roma top 6. They should look for top 6 just to get European football. Not? They can do it. The season is long. They're on 23 points. Look, it's gonna be bloody fucking tough, but they can do it.
Yeah, it is gonna be.
They're one of the strongest teams in the league. Let's be real. They do.
Absolutely. With a very, they're a tight unit as well, difficult to penetrate. So yeah. I think we can move on to the Napoli game, because that was also a very good game, and it was quite surprising, man. Speaking of corrections, Napoli destroyed Fiorentina. They absolutely dismantled them. A commanding 3-0 victory, propelling them back to the top. Of course,
they're top of the league because
Inter have a game in hand against Bologna.
And Atalanta.
Against Fiorentina, sorry.
And Atalanta as well. No, because of... Yeah, sorry. Inter have 2 games in hand now because they have the one against Fiorentina and they have the Matchday 19 one.
Which is Bologna,
which is taking place on Wednesday of next week.
Yes, exactly. Yes. That's why we'll be recording on Thursday.
Yes. And also, of course, there's Atalanta, who have a game in hand and they'll be playing it against Juventus.
Yes, Napoli, of course, with their 4-3-3, they pressed high, swift transitions, midfield trio. McTominay was the anchor. Neres was playing kind of a very pivotal role to kind of play off Lukaku, and that was their plan. While Fiorentina, it was a 4-3-3 as well. They aimed to control possession, but struggled against Napoli's press, and they couldn't really execute their game plan at all. Their attempts to build out from the back, in fact, were frequently disrupted, leading to many, many dangerous opportunities, dangerous chances for Napoli. So early in the first half, Matias Oliveira found the net with a 1-2 with Lukaku, but it was disallowed for offside. Neres did break the deadlock with a very precise and powerful fucking finish after literally like what was it? Just dropping the shoulder, shimmying.
The ball always looked
1,
like
2, 3.
The ball looked like it never belonged to him, and that like it was always out of reach, and that he can't retain the ball, and that at any point he was going to lose it. He never lost it. Not only didn't he lose it, but then he canted a shot into the roof of the net. It was a brilliant goal, and I described it as an 18-year-old playing with a bunch of 7-year-olds. It's when your coach decides to dribble all of you just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he looked
baked.
He looked baked, and he looked way too good. Compared to those defenders.
From not to mention, because I don't think you mentioned that Spinazzola was the left winger in this game.
Yes, I didn't even mention that. So it was an attacking trident of Lukaku, Neres, Spinazzola. Yes, and Spinazzola actually had a crack on goal at one point.
And keep in mind, so where was Gvara? Gvara's injured. Gvara's injured, and so is Buongiorno.
Yes.
So they started the game technically a decimated Lazio. So without Buongiorno, keep in mind that defense, Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Juan Jesus, Oliveira, that is who they had last season, who they finished 10th with. Buongiorno is the only difference, and he wasn't in the team. Kvara, who's their magic maker, wow.
Salamaker.
Wasn't in the team either. So this was a decimated team.
Yes, and they have shown that, or Conte has shown that he has a few tricks up his sleeve to compensate for the lack of key players. Because Neres is replacing Gvara excellently. That could be maybe one of the reasons, for example, that he didn't deploy them at once. Could be.
I don't
think
he likes playing them at once.
Spinazzola offers a bit of balance on the other side. You look at, for example, also the fact that the midfield kind of protects that backline. Maybe Juan Jesus as well is a little bit more protected over there.
Need to say, by the way, Spinazzola was destroying Dodo and Moreno. He was fucking them up.
Moreno,
over and over.
He
had a nightmare. Comuzzo had a nightmare. Dodo had a nightmare.
De Gea made a few good saves to try to keep them in it, but Napoli were super aggressive in the second half. Moreno gave away a penalty, in fact, and Lukaku doubled the lead. Listen to this stat. Since his debut Serie A season in 2019-2020, Lukaku has recorded 13 matches with both a goal and an assist.
Oh, wow.
The highest in the league during this period. Yes, very good. McTominay sealed the victory with a well-placed shot, a very clever finish from out of the box, placing it into the bottom left corner after Comuzzo had played the ball directly into his pod. That's what you get when you have a young defender, like a teenage defender. You're bound to have some lapses like that. But Napoli remained impenetrable. They made it look easy, to be honest.
They did.
Statement victory for them.
And Fiorentina have been, obviously they had that run. I think we all knew that it wasn't going to last forever. They're not league contenders. I don't even think they're, are they top 4 contenders? Maybe, but at this point I struggle to think so.
Personally, I see one available top 4 spot.
No,
that's it,
between Juve and Milan,
exactly.
maybe.
That's in theory what's happening, but it's between technically Lazio, Juve, Fiorentina, Bologna, Milan.
Man, why does shit keep happening to Fiorentina? What's this bad juju, though? Because this season, Palladino's mom passed away, and Bove had a friggin' heart attack on the pitch, man.
Yeah, it's fucked.
They're
really unlucky.
Joe Barone passed away.
Yeah.
And he had a a fucking fit before a game in the dressing
You're
room.
making me laugh. It's
I know.
because it's almost
crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Bro,
That's what it is.
Remember a story?
I
He was
remember
with
a story.
Fiorentina and he passed away as well. Why does this shit keep happening to Fiorentina? There's some juju shit going on there, man. And
It's honestly
it's very
depressing.
disruptive is what it is, unfortunately, for them, because they'd be on a good streak until Joe Barone falls ill in the dressing room, until Bove has a heart attack on the pitch, and a story passes away in a training camp, or the new coach's mom passes away. It's super disruptive, man. And not only is it disruptive, but of course we're talking about humans that are close to these people, that are affected by these things, and it just feels like as humans they've been being disrupted by things like this for far too long now, man. It's really unfortunate.
All the sales to Juventus.
All the sales to Juventus
for
as
the
well.
fans. That's quite a weight as well.
Goodmanson going to prison is another one.
That's another thing I want to talk about. So as you said, yes, they have been terribly unlucky when it comes to the human side, right? Of course, apologies for laughing. He was just killing me the way that he was just grouping all these absolutely terrible disasters. But it's true. It is.
Man,
it's
devastating.
However, I think now it's hit a point in the season where, first of all, people are perhaps starting to figure them out. Second of all, it's difficult to keep up with a pretty much flawless start. And third of all, man, Goodmanson is really struggling with his form, and not to mention that this centre-back situation is quite a serious one. Because if you're going to start the game with 3 centre-backs and your record-signing centre-back is still nowhere to be seen, that's a bit of a flop over there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where is Pongracic, man?
Nowhere. He had that red card, and we haven't seen him since. He hasn't seen the light of day. They've got many players that just haven't hit it off, bro. Many players that haven't hit it off.
I mean,
Goodmanson, Pongracic, Kolpani should be 3 pivotal players for them. But they're still playing Beltran and Sotil.
Beltran has been very good,
and Sotil has been great as well.
Has been great, but he's been his usual frustrating self. He just had that big goal, obviously, and a few. Did he have more contributions? But I think he's still quite frustrating as a player, and they would much rather have Goodmanson, Kolpani playing in that.
Absolutely,
in that
it should be Goodmanson, Kolpani, Ken.
This is, of course, at the end of the day, this Fiorentina team is again a long-term project, because they have the youngest coach in Serie A. No, the second youngest coach in Serie A now, because the immaculate Salvatore Bocchetti is the youngest coach right now.
Beast.
8 Serie A games in charge, 8 losses. That is Bocchetti's legacy at the moment.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I think time is on Fiorentina's side, at least.
Yeah. No, I think, and not writing them off for anything throughout this season, of course, they have a lot of... these players can still find their form. There's half of the season left. The Bove situation and so on and so forth, I guess time does make these things better to a degree. A couple of wins under their belt, and maybe that won't be on the forefront of their mind, but it'll be somewhere at the back of their mind, and they can progress and do better. I think they need to do something in January, just get some more Serie A experience in at the back, because Comuzzo, Moreno, Ranieri, when they're good, they're great. Comuzzo, of course, he's excellent. He has a super high ceiling, but he's 19 years old.
I think they've brought in a free agent, bro, if I'm not mistaken.
Have they?
As a centre-back. 1 second, I have it here. Nicholas Valentini. A free transfer.
Sorted
from...
then. That is...
football trivia. That's South American, isn't it?
It is South American.
What are they called? Boca Juniors?
Yes, bro,
Boca
I think
Juniors.
you're right.
Yes, Nicholas Valentini from Boca Juniors. While not to mention Mario Rui, the beloved Mario Rui, with the wicked left foot from the Scudetto winning season of Napoli, has left on a free. Very, very
Who,
sad
sorry?
news. Mario Rui.
Oh,
for,
yes.
For Napoli. But yes, what can you tell us about this Valenti fella? Valentini.
You're asking the wrong guy, if I'm being completely honest, bro. Nicholas Valentini. I've never heard of him before. Nicholas Valentini. What I do know from my research right now is that he's still a young guy. He's 23. years old. He has 7 appearances and a goal this season for Boca Juniors. He's Argentine. He's left-footed.
6'2".
6'2".
We'll see how he is. I mean, he's only played for Boca Juniors and Aldosivi. So we'll see if Fiorentina managed to land a coup over here.
Yeah. Of course, I know nothing about him, bro. What can I talk
He's of
about
Italian
Ronaldo?
descent.
Well,
yeah.
Argentina is very. There are a lot of Italians.
Some
in
interesting transfers
Argentina.
here. If we have time, I'll go through them at the end. Of
Now we see. I think we can. But just one point on Napoli. Again, Inter got all those injuries. Atalanta got destroyed in the Super Cup. All these guys have games in hand. Games in hand. Napoli unaffected by everything. They have their injuries, sure, but they are the team that have played all the matches so far. They're on 19 games played. They're leading the table with 44 points. Of course, Atalanta, if they get a win against Juve, which is not easy, they'll be equal. Inter can actually jump everyone if they win both their games in hand, because that'll put them on 46 points. But now they have all of these injuries. Napoli have a great chance because they don't have to worry about anything else other than the league.
Absolutely. Yes.
They are my favorites for the league.
I think that they will do it, as we said, but Inter, of course, remain the favorites. In theory and odds-wise when you look at the betting platforms.
Yeah.
But yes.
Just to say a stat, because I've been forgetting to plug in the stats. Fiorentina have actually beaten Napoli more times than Napoli have beaten Fiorentina. Fiorentina have 55 wins, Napoli have 53 wins, and there have been 41 draws. Only against Bologna do Fiorentina have more wins in this competition. They beat them 57 times. And just to go back to the Roma-Lazio one, Roma have actually won the last 2 derbies and kept a clean sheet against Lazio in their last 3 Serie A encounters, a feat last achieved way back in 1967.
Excellent. We can move on to... let's take a look at Cagliari. Because Cagliari beat Monza 2-1, which is massive. This was Bocchetti, of course.
It was absolutely huge because every other team that's battling relegation drew 0-0.
Yeah.
Huge week for Cagliari
Massive.
It was.
And it's always these fine margins that make a difference at the end. It was a 2-1 victory, yes, handing Bocchetti his 8th straight Serie A defeat from 80 games, which is absolutely dreadful for Bocchetti, and you start to wonder, like, how long can this go on for? When will he get his first point?
Yeah.
The next game is actually against Fiorentina.
Oh, wow.
For Monza, yeah. So Monza actually lined up in a 3-5-2 formation, utilizing, of course, the wing backs for width, as always. They struggled to maintain defensive solidity, especially after being reduced to 10 men this game.
Yep.
While Cagliari, of course, went for a 4-3-2-1 formation, quick transitions, exploiting spaces at the back left by Monza's wingbacks. Tactical adjustments during the game as well. Very, very Nicola. Nowadays, Nicola has been really tweaking, bro. Like
tweaking, eh?
Tweaking at half time.
He needed this win, man. They had 4 losses in a draw. 4 losses in a row before this.
Within the first 2 minutes of this game, a Cagliari corner was flicked to the back post where Felici's acrobatic volley struck the woodwork. Shortly after, Churia had a close-range shot deflected by Makumbu's hand, leading to a penalty, where Caprari stepped up and converted the penalty, giving Monza a rare lead. Cagliari responded with Zortea unleashing a powerful left-footed strike from outside the box, finding the left side of the net. I don't think it was quite left top corner, but it was a very good goal. Very good goal, regardless.
Delicious goal.
Yeah, Nadir Zortea, because in the league, you've got Teo Hernandez, you've got DiMarco, and you've got Nadir Zortea.
I agree.
My pupillo on Fantacalcio. I love him. Yes, 2 seasons in a row for 1 credit.
Crazy, man. Crazy. We keep sleeping on him.
Yeah. Danilo D'Ambrosio received a red card. So they had to play the rest of the game with 10 men. Of course, he plays for Monza nowadays. And capitalizing on the numerical advantage, Cagliari's Roberto Piccoli was given way too much space, and so that's what Piccoli does, bro.
I mean,
all he needs is a minute of space.
This at at the start, but let's be real about Piccoli. He's on fire.
Yes.
He's on fire in a team
For
that
his
is struggling because Cagliari are in the relegation zone. But Piccoli's been doing great. He's been scoring goals, something which he has really struggled to do when out on loan recently. I said at the start of season, this is a make or break season for Piccoli. I said this for Piccoli and I said it for Colombo. I said there's, and Pinamonti to be fair. I said there's no way this guy is going to spend another season out on loan where he shits the bed. And he just doesn't do well. He's gone to Cagliari, which is a team that fuels you with adrenaline, Sardinian supporters and a sold out stadium every single game, just hyping him up. But he's scoring on the road, he's scoring at home. He's showing us that yes, he's great in the air, which is where everyone always said that Piccoli is good. But this finish, for example, was unbelievable. Great finish.
And
good to see from him,
he
man.
is scoring, but it must be mentioned as well that he's been probably the most wasteful striker in the league when it comes to his statistics. I don't know if any of you care about XG, but he's totally underperforming his XG.
Okay.
He scored 5 goals. He's on 7.02 XG. When you look at, for example, as well, his big chances missed statistic, he's missed 16 big chances. And for what Sofa score considered to be a big chance, by the way, just because I checked it, Lorenzo Lucas' header in the last game. It wasn't a crazy big miss, but it was a free header. He got it on target. The keeper saved it, right? That doesn't count as a big miss. So it needs to be a clearer opportunity than that for it to be considered a big miss, yes. But Piccoli has been very wasteful.
And 5 goals this season, though, already. To be honest, in 19 games, 5 goals in 19 games for Cagliari, whereas before he was only missing and not scoring. It's an improvement. I wouldn't like to be too harsh on him. But the stats are what they are. They're factual.
Big morale boost for Cagliari in this relegation 6-pointer. Of course, they totally outdid Monza. D'Ambrosio at this point, if he's not going to give you experience on the cool head, what's he going to give you? Why is he on the team? You know what I mean? He barely ever plays. This time he cost them 3 points because that is what essentially led to this. Monza, when you watch them play, again, this has been the theme all season under Nesta, and even now they don't look bad. They start off the games working the ball around well. So yes, we'll have to see if they grow into it, and Bocchetti has to show us what he's got. Not to mention that he has all the pressure on the world on his shoulders, because 8 out of 8 losses is
and he is only the 3rd manager in Serie A history to lose all of his first 8 Serie A matches. After Adelio Moro, he had 8 with Brescia in 1995, and Astro Galli, he had 8 with Venezia in 1949. He must have been going through something tough there. Oh yes,
God knows what.
Just after the World War, right? Cagliari get a win after 4 consecutive losses here. So 2 teams that were struggling went head to head, and it wasn't a biscotto like the rest of the relegation 6-pointers, obviously apart from the one that we're heading to now.
And Cagliari, a win away from home, which is very rare. So yes,
because Monza are shit, because Monza decided. So I didn't know. I wouldn't have been nest out, so that they survive if they were gonna get bloody Bocchetti. Now he still has time. I don't know why Verona wanted him, Monza wanted him, and they got him. It's just, to me, it's really strange. If someone knows, explain to me why was Bocchetti so highly sought after by the struggling teams, because I have no idea. I'm an idiot. I'm in Malta. I don't have connections. I don't have ties. Let me know. I must be stupid.
Apparently, he's a very good motivator and was a big part of that Tudor Hellas Verona setup.
I'm a good motivator, bro.
Conceição is a good motivator, bro.
Man.
Yeah, time for questions we're gonna have. The last game that had goals in it is Venezia 1, Empoli 1. It was a Wes Anderson movie.
Bro.
The scenes were beautiful, immaculate stadium, beautiful sunset. Was it even a sunset? It looked like there was a sunset. I don't think there was a sunset.
If you guys aren't on that Wes Anderson animated shit, get on that Wes Anderson animated shit. Good. I'm sorry to deviate, but Fantastic Mr. Fox is fantastic. Mr. Fox. And what did we watch recently, bro?
Something about
the dogs. The Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs?
Watch
Isle of Dogs.
Watch Isle of Dogs. Oh my god, that's probably he's so intelligent, Wes Anderson.
That was me. That I came up with that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, get on that shit, guys.
Yes,
but this
it's good.
was a Wes Anderson movie. The sun was
Yes,
setting, the sky was purple.
It's true, and just an awful lot of symmetry, beautiful. But yes, the game was very clumsy though in the first 5 minutes, because you look at Vasquez, who got the ball, the Empoli goalkeeper, of course. He goes to clear the ball, Pal out of nowhere, the Serie B
so good,
bomber,
man.
the Serie B top scorer season after season, the guy who would score 4 goals in a game and then go down pints of beer with the fans after.
Literally. The legend.
And he's been struggling a bit this season. He sprinted up to Vasquez, jumped up to try in an attempt to block the ball from being cleared. That never works, right?
No.
It never works. This time it hit Palo and went to the back of the net.
Legend,
Palo went on to shush the cameras, yes,
Fuck
because
yes.
you showed them, bro. In the 32nd minute, Esposito got an equalizer after the away day specialist Colombo himself showed some very clever movement and quick feet.
Amazing.
Then he released the ball to Esposito, who finished very, very cleanly.
Who would have thought, that a Milan loanee and an Inter loanee are essentially a match made in heaven when it comes to playing alongside each other, man.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
Romeo. Venezia, of course, lined up in a 3-5-2. This game, they tried to control the midfield and exploit wing play. Empoli mirrored this, and they just played man-to-man. Both teams created several opportunities, but Vasquez and Stankovic made very good saves to maintain the 1-1. And to be honest, now, the next few games, it's all about the keepers. So shout out Vasquez, apart from his mistake. Stankovic was very good.
Stankovic has been excellent, man.
And now we can move on to Verona Udinese.
Whoa. What's this?
Please.
This is Esposito's 8th goal, firstly.
Okay.
This season, there are shouts. People want him in the Nazionale. Can't get a call-up. It's not going to hurt anyone.
It's
if
not
Daniel
like
Maldini got a call-up.
Yeah, it's not like there's myriad attacking talent in the...
But Esposito, he's a very well-rounded player over there. He could do many things.
He's one of those players, you watch him play, you say, he's good, that one.
Exactly.
He's technically gifted.
Exactly. And among the teams against which Venezia have never lost to in Serie A, Empoli is the one they have faced the most times. They've secured 2 wins and 2 draws in 4 encounters. So in Serie A, Venezia are undefeated against Empoli.
All right, interesting.
Thank you.
So let's get this game over and done with, because it was a bloody snooze fest. Verona against Udinese. It wasn't that bad, but yeah.
This was the worst one.
It was the worst.
You look
one, I
at
think,
3-0, you're like, they're all boring. Believe me, they're
was-
fucking not, man.
2 of them were better than this one. Let's just say that.
And if other podcasts are telling you that all these 0-0s were boring, they weren't.
They had quite a few good chances, and I think the goalkeepers came up so big that the games in themselves had a unique hero.
Yeah.
Verona Udinese, of course, Serdar was sent off in the 71st minute. Montepò had 6 saves this game, and they were great saves.
This wasn't even the boring one, in my opinion.
Sava himself, on the other end, had 3 saves as well. You look at Lucca, Thuvan, and Ezebra were all denied by Montepò. Many good chances. Lucca had one of those moments where a ball came over the top, and he's at the far post and he's going full on the header. He hasn't missed those this season. He gets 1 shot per game and he scores it.
Yep.
And this time, great save by him. Thuvan tried from far out. Ezebra had a crack as well. All great saves.
Montepò shows us this every season. Of course, there
does.
are games where he concedes 6 or 5 because it's Hellas Verona who open their... Here we go. Who split open like I don't know what. You guys are clever and
like
perverted enough to... Exactly.
Udinese had a moment late on when Atta struck the crossbar. What a goal that would have been. That would have been crazy.
It would have been
long-range rocket. I'm not even
insane.
sure if the keeper got a hand on it. I'm not sure. I can't recall if it just smacked the crossbar right away.
I'm not sure.
But it was a wicked shot though. I think that Udinese were better. They dominated possession, but Verona did have their chances, and this game could have gone either way. Tengsted, for example, at one point had a chance to pull the trigger, but the shot was so limp, bro.
Yeah.
Flaccid.
It was a flaccid strike by Tengsted over there. But this was, I think Udinese clearly were the better team over here. devastated Verona with some of the opportunities that they had. I think there was a man who time after time, he has some of the most saves in Serie A, and it's Montepò. And this
Perhaps
wasn't...
Lazio should look at him to replace probably.
Maybe.
But there are definitely keepers. There are many keepers. Many good keepers.
Loads. And this was another clean sheet for Verona against Udinese. That's not the first time. Verona have now kept a clean sheet in 5 of their last 6 home matches against Udinese in Serie A. Crazy.
Damn. Torino Parma is the last one we're going to be taking a look at.
No, there's another one after this.
Oh, Torino Parma is the next one we're going to be taking a look at. Torino's sponsor is Suzuki, but it was Zion Suzuki who stopped them from getting 3 points over here. Torino were by far the better team in this game. It was clear. Like, if we're going to say Udinese were the better team, and the other one, that game was much closer than this one. This was all Torino. But they couldn't beat the inspired Japanese keeper.
He was incredible.
He was massive, bro. 2 great saves on Shea Adams. And that save on Karel Linetti at the end.
Oh my god,
was so good as well.
His first save on Shea Adams,
was the best
free header, and I think Vlasic gave him that ball. Perfect cross. Header, pretty much an open goal. The way he gets down to... Bro, once Gordon Banks made a save like that, and they called it the best save in history. Well, come on, pinch of salt. Suzuki didn't pull off a save like Gordon Banks, but it was one of the saves of the season, the way he got down. He's so acrobatic, eh?
He is.
That's his style. He's an acrobatic goalkeeper.
There was also one moment where he was scrambling, bro.
He was laughing my ass
He was
off,
off his line, out of the box, on the floor, like out of the pitch. I'm not sure what happened. I think he was expecting a shot, and he ended up flat-footed diving on the
because they were shooting, but they just kept getting blocked. And he was fully committing to every single feint.
I think the highlights got it. Go take a look, guys. It was hilarious. Yeah, and just watch the highlights. They're only 2 minutes 30 seconds, and you get to see his masterclass.
Yeah,
hate how short the highlights are now.
But to be fair, they've added the longer ones.
They have the 20-minute ones for the big games usually. Yeah. Vanya also had a good save on Bonnie, one of those where he just extends his arm. And Mahala hit the post for Parma, and what would have been a massive upset that he scored that.
Weird lineup once again. Dennis Mann wasn't in the team. Haila started striker again. It was unorthodox by Pecchia's men.
No, he's a divisive. He's a divisive name, Pecchia.
Yeah.
Amongst Parma supporters right now, many of them think they can be doing much better with the team they have.
Probably,
sure.
man.
Maybe, but...
Probably. They've got a great team.
I don't think...
Of course, not everyone is fit.
I don't think it's a bad idea, personally, to experiment.
Yeah. Oh, look at you.
Shut up.
So, Torino have kept a clean sheet in 6 of their last 9 matches against Parma in the top flight, including the 3 most recent ones. A win for Parma would have helped them jump Torino in this game, so it was by no means a biscotto. Both teams were looking for the victory over here, and actually Torino, man, what you told me the statistic, they have the goals conceded.
So it's away from home, I believe. Clean sheets at home.
Clean sheets at home.
And they are second in Europe behind Real Madrid.
No clean sheets at home for me. What
16 in 28 games for Torino, 17 in 28 games for Real Madrid. Third are Juventus with 15 clean sheets in 29 games. Fourth are Inter with 15 clean sheets in 28 games. And it goes on and on and on. If you're wondering, hey, where are Milan? They're right behind Bologna in 6th. With 14 clean sheets in 28 games. Bologna, 15 clean sheets in 27 games. Look at the Italian dominance when it comes to defense, bro. And it's not like there haven't been many goals in the Italian league this match day. There weren't many goals, but
it's true.
There have been quite a few.
We'll go to the one where a player had such a bad miss that, I don't know, he
almost made the cover art.
Like, he almost made the cover art for his miss.
Yes, bro. We had Lecce, Genoa. Another 0-0. Kristovic hit the post from outside the area in the 21st minute. A lovely strike. He also had a penalty appeal, but it was too soft, to be honest. And the fact that I checked the highlights to refresh my memory of this game, and this penalty appeal actually made the highlight reel, which just goes to show that there weren't many moments.
Exactly.
The miss of the season, though, did come after some great movement by Vitinha on the
Amazing
right-hand side.
movement by
He's so good
Vitinha.
out wide. Who would have thought, eh? So good out wide. He managed to beat his man, and he squared it past the goalkeeper, slightly beyond the line. We're talking about the line of the net. Thorsby was right there. All he had to do was get a touch on it. He shot it upwards. It hit the crossbar, miraculously missing. The ball
From a yard out,
From
bro.
a yard out, literally. The ball came to Pinamonti, who struck it sweetly on the volley. It clipped the crossbar and went out. That was a moment of pure chaos. And the miss of the season so far. I don't think there has been a worse miss than that. Vlahovic had a few stinkers, but Lautaro had a bad miss, but this miss was next level.
It's unbeatable.
Yeah. Interesting to say as well to observe that Balotelli was absolutely nowhere to be seen, despite claiming that he is fit for action. Yes, but apparently he will be staying on at Genoa. When it comes to this match day, I think that should be enough. We have some questions, but I don't think we have enough time to cover them.
You dislike my stats, eh?
Please, bro.
Be honest,
I'm
you
still
dislike
getting
my
used to it.
stats.
Bro, your stats are horrendous. Please.
Genoa have lost only one of their last 15 Serie A games against Lecce. They won 8 and they drew 6. That only loss came... It was a 1-0 on the 22nd of September 2023, so last season.
Your stats are actually very interesting, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I don't think... So one thing, I'm just going to go to the funny stuff. We have some funny stuff here. This guy posted on Twitter. He posted a picture of this television screen, and there's Gianpaolo on it speaking. He's giving an interview, basically. And this guy wrote down, Amsterdam, red light district, sosta in un pub, documentario in olandese su Gianpaolo. Which means he's in Amsterdam, he's at the red light district in a pub in Amsterdam, and what's on TV is a documentary on Gianpaolo.
Crazy,
love it.
Crazy. Let's go back.
Absolutely love it.
Take me back.
Yeah, and when I said I have some funny things prepared, that's the only one.
I don't think we have time to do questions, bro, because we're an hour and 55.
Take the best ones and carry them on to the next episode, if we have time. Shall we quickly do that 11?
Let's do the 11.
Yeah, because we got a question on an 11.
Even though I did it, unfortunately, quite rushed.
We basically got a question from Gigi on Instagram, who asked us, who told us Happy New Year, lovely guy. And then he asked us for kind of an undervalued 11, so kind of like players who you can acquire for a decent price, and they will give you what should be worth more than their actual value. And for this one, to be honest, it was quite difficult to think of. Mm-hmm. There were many factors to consider, right? Who owns the player, what the player's CV is like, things like that. So, for example, I put Montepò in goal because Montepò...
I did the same.
Yeah. You can get him for a very cheap price. He's got a lot of Serie A experience and he's used to making clutch saves at clutch moments and being the protagonist in a game. At the back, I've put Zortea.
Say all yours.
Zortea, Ismaili, Itzes, and Dorgu.
Dorgu, though, there's quite a bit of... And Zortea, isn't he owned by...
So
Zortea owned by Atalanta.
Zortea, I think, might have been outright purchased by Cagliari, but because he isn't the youngest, he's 25 years old, you might be able to get him for a good deal, and he is owned by Cagliari nowadays, which means that
that's good.
They're desperate for money, right? They're always, these teams are kind of unfortunately like a supermarket when it comes to these players. Yes,
I feel like I went a bit cheaper than you, huh?
I put Ismaili, of course, because he's overperforming and he plays for Empoli. You can get him for a good deal. Jay Itzes is having a fantastic breakout season. He plays for Venezia. I'm sure you can get him for a decent price. Patrick Dorgu is a little bit expensive, but to be honest, for that position, there aren't many candidates that will give you more than their...
I went for that position. I went Kakache.
Kakache, that's a good shout.
Which is quite a good shout, Il-Libi. And as like a substitute in that case, if you don't have enough money for Kakache, there's Aaron Martin, who's been quite good this season. I went Ismaili as a centre-back alongside Vasquez of Genoa because
nice shout.
He played every single match last season. First name on the team sheet for Genoa, just a solid, dependable defender who's still 26. You'd think he's older. Shout out to Dossena, who'd also be good in that area. And as a right back, Del Prato. Why? Because he can play right back, he can play centre back, he's Italian.
Goalkeeper.
He can't really play goalkeeper.
As we saw.
Yeah.
In midfield, I went for a midfield 4. They're all centre midfielders.
You went 4 in
I
midfield?
don't care. Yes, I went
You went 4-4-3, bro. No, come on, choose one to remove, eh?
Fucking hell.
4-4-3.
Who am I meant to remove from these guys? Oh god, bro. Okay,
Make one of them as a sub, fuck it.
Okay, let's go fucking 4-4-2 and remove.
Because Jake has Lucca. He'd be expensive nowadays.
I don't think it'd be very expensive though, ta?
Oh, yeah, we'll do it without Lucca. Everyone knows you'd have Lucca anyway.
I would have Lucca, right, on my team, guys. Okay, so let's go 4-4-2. Anjorin, Bondo, Fazzini, Frendrup.
Very, very similar. I went for a 3-man midfield. Bondo, Frendrup, Anjorin.
Nice, so you put Anjorin as well.
I put
He's
Anjorin.
been super.
And on the bench, or I have Anjorin / someone, the slash is my honorable mentions. Bernabe is just he's been injured. He's been injured. Yes. But Anjorin's been
very
excellent.
good. Yes.
He's been brilliant.
And Fazzini won't be cheap, but he, I think he's got a good future.
I didn't put him because I thought he was expensive.
Yeah. Bonnie Tankstead.
But again, like Bonnie's going to be bought by Napoli, and I'm sure they're not going to spend a little bit on him.
But it's not going to be more than 15 million, and he will develop to be a 30 million at least.
I went.
You know what I mean?
Tankstead.
Yeah.
Tufan, because he's a bit older. I think he's like 30 years old, and
Isn't he a World Cup winner?
You think Tufan would be expensive to buy though?
He plays for Udinese. I mean, probably not.
And Sotil. Because I don't think Sotil would be expensive at all. And I think he's got flair to him. I think he's dependable in that sense.
Fair enough. Let's do one more. On Instagram, it comes from Gigi, who says, how long will Bocchetti last? I give him 4 weeks. Personally, I think I can get it done in 4 minutes. Thank you for listening.
To clarify, Jake is saying he can make Bocchetti.
Bro, there's no need. The joke is in the subtlety.
Bocchetti come in 4 minutes. Yeah. And this guy thinks it'll take him 4 weeks. Jesus Christ.
4 weeks. Well, what's he going to be doing?
Fucking hell.
You know? No, I think Bocchetti... I don't know how long Bocchetti will last, to be honest.
I think Monza will have a third manager this season. That's all
I have a feeling. I mean, it's not looking exactly promising, is it? I think he'll have more than 4 weeks, though.
It depends on their fixtures.
Oh, here we go, bro. Episode over 2 hours.
Yep, it literally is. So they have... they're going to lose their next games. They have Fiorentina, Bologna, and then Genoa, Verona. If they don't beat
hit the Seymour,
Genoa or Verona, I think he's already in trouble. And then there's
that's the spell.
He has
Genoa,
Verona. He has Verona, Genoa, Verona. Then there's Lazio, and then there's Lecce.
Mm-hmm. I think that by that point, if he doesn't do well, by what is that? The 16th February?
Yeah. 16th February they play Lecce.
I think he'll make it through February, personally. Do you think he'll make it past February? I think he might.
He gets sacked in February, I think.
Okay.
He gets sacked in February. Okay, so sorry if we couldn't answer all your questions, but obviously with the Super Cup, there was a lot to discuss. Next week we'll be recording on Thursday because obviously not all the matches took place on Matchday 19. So after Matchday 20... 3 games of Matchday 19 is going to be played. So there's football Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to record on Thursday, then there's football on Friday. So Serie A, unfortunately, aren't doing us any favours and there's nothing we can do about it.
If Serie A, if the authorities or the body that organizes Serie A can't organize their football league efficiently, then we can't organize our podcast efficiently.
But we're doing our best for you guys.
Thursday. It has to be Thursday.
It helps us.
Or it's going to be incomplete as an episode.
Yeah. So like that, we could tell you guys, we will keep you fully updated on Matchday 19 and Matchday 20 of Serie A. After that, we're back to Champions League football. So a tight schedule over there as well. Give us feedback. Let us know how you're finding this new structure of ours. Let us know how you're finding us, everything. We love you all, and we'll see you all next week, next Thursday.
God bless you.
Ciao, ciao.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.